Sunday, folks. We're here, three-man weave, college basketball best bets show with the Field of 68, sponsored by our friends at BetRivers. Jim Root hosting today. I'm joined by Matthew Cox, Kai McEwen, ready to talk some hoops. Kind of a solid, sneaky solid slate today on Sunday. But man, we had 103 games yesterday, Matthew. Did you have any takeaways other than, Kai, I'm just going to steal it, all our alma maters suck. We know that.
Yeah, tough effort from the Hoosiers. Really tough effort from the Missouri Tigers. And that's what you'll be called going forward until you actually beat a team of relevance. Kai,
Ridiculous.
A lot of fun action yesterday. Nebraska ball continues just to be a thorn in the side of Big Ten teams. And any team that decides to play them, they are the cockroach of the Big Ten right now. And they are trending up. But Zach Edey, too much, too late. 7 blocks. His Wooden Player of the Year candidacy continues to balloon.
Yeah. This is the only nice thing I'll say about Goodman today. Goodman had a funny tweet. He said, Nebraska only held Edey to 11 points and 17 rebounds and 7 blocks. I mean, the guy, he's incredible.
He objectively
right
didn't play a great game, because he had 5 turnovers, but the box score is just it's going to be stuffed no matter what.
He played 43 minutes. Zach Edey, 7-4, played 43 minutes. That's wild.
My takeaway, Mizzou didn't win. I'm eating crow. Jim and I are eating crow. Yada.
Crow for breakfast, lunch, and dinner today.
Isaiah Mosley, I wish he'd play. It must be some discipline thing. I don't get it. Yeah. If Golston is our highest used player, we're in for a tough year. He's not that good offensively. But the competition, guys, how many power teams this year have lost to bad teams? The answer is a ton. TCU lost to a bad team. So the schedule thing doesn't really tell me that Mizzou's fraudulent with a 9-0 start. I think they handled business. They did a pretty good job. They won at Wichita. Good job. Lost to a top 10 team in KU. Yeah, they lost by 28. Jim, it was more like 20. But I still believe in our Tigers. I'm still keeping the faith this year.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in our little post-game video that I owed Goodman. Any optimism around Mizzou involved Mosley. And if he's a nobody, then, this team's not very good. They need him to be, he's the best player, and then everybody filters through 2 through 7 in the pecking order or whatever. Matt, Jalen Hood-Schifino's important. I think he matters quite a bit.
Important.
You mentioned Nebraska ball, Sam Griesel, very important. When he's out there, they're a different team. Ryan Kalkbrenner, also super important. Creighton loses to BYU. I will mention BYU is also missing their 2 best wings. Trevin Knell hasn't played this year. Spencer Johnson is out. It's not all injury excuses. The team's lost 4 games in a row. There's some concern going on with Creighton. There has to be. But that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm sticking with as my takeaways. Let's talk ball. We got a game in 13 minutes, fellas. Taking place in Brooklyn. They got a quadruple header there. Matthew, Iona, St. Bonaventure. The chat was already discussing this one hot as we got in here. Obviously, quite a bit of travel for the Bonnies, not for Iona. This was up around 7. There was even some 7.5. I think I'm not the only Weaver that came in on the Bonnies, Matthew, at 7. But Iona is terrifying. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, I should take the Bonnies just because Mark Schmidt as a dog is a great recipe to profitability. But against this version of Rick Pitino's Gales, Kai, I didn't take it. Canisius, let's run through the results of the last 3 games. Niagara by 22, which to me is super impressive because Niagara is the ultimate suck unit. They're like the Tarleton of the upstate New York area. Canisius by 30, St. Louis by 22. They haven't been tested, so I just didn't want to get away in that steam. Pretty simple for me. I stayed away.
Yeah, I hopped in at 7.5. It's down to 6 now, so super sharp as always.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm really sad about Mizzou. It's very possible that Iona's awesome this year. I mean, Patino's an awesome coach. He has great talent. But, hey, the Gales, somewhat mortal away from home, guys. They lost to Hofstra. They did handle Vermont. Okay. They lost to Santa Clara by 10. They've been tested. They've been beaten this year.
I agree. They've not been invincible. I agree with that. Very fair.
The Bonnie shouldn't be taken lightly. Mark Schmidt's a wizard himself. He's a fantastic coach. I wouldn't put him quite at Patino's level, but, man, he's pretty good. And, however, Jim, the Bonnies also not that great away from home. They have a neutral win against Notre Dame, but they've been much better in the friendly confines of Olean. 7's just a huge number. Even at 6, I lean towards the Bonnies.
Yeah, the Bonnies are way better than we thought coming into the year. They lost to everybody, completely hit the reset button with the Iron 5 off in their separate power conference destinations. Turns out the team Mark Schmidt has is actually pretty solid. He's put them together. I've bet on them recently, a couple different games, and they've covered for me. Cleveland State, easy winner. Thank you. I didn't bet them in Buffalo. I'll bet them against Notre Dame, and that was a nice neutral site win in the city. So I feel solid about the Bonnies today. 6 is dicier, but that's if I had to take a side at the current number, it would still be the Bonnies.
Sorry, Pete. Olean.
It's Olean, not Olean, but it's fun to say Olean because you do the "Come on, Eileen." I like Jim's little analogy. It's cute.
Yeah,
appreciate
Come
that.
on, Olean.
It's not disrespect when I sing it. It's just, yeah, there you go. Next one in that quadruple header, Matthew so smartly put that as the first 4 games in our outline. Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, Kai, about a 2.5-point favorite. I think that's what it's going off as at BetRivers right now. Pretty elite shooting team. You got to be able to shoot over the top of Oklahoma State to score against them. I lean towards the Hokies. What do you think?
Yeah, Oklahoma State. I keep looking at this team, and it's basically what we've seen the last couple of years. They're very competitive. They're very high in the analytics per usual, but they lack quality wins. This is a huge opportunity for them against Virginia Tech. Obviously, the Hokies are in great shape. They look very good. Their offense rocks. Slight apologies to Basili. He's been fantastic for them so far. He's definitely exceeded my expectations. Now, can Virginia Tech, Matt, handle the pressure, the length of Oklahoma State? This is probably by far the best and most active defense they faced this season. Yeah. Will it affect their hot shooting? They are obviously great offensively, but Oklahoma State can defend. Can they keep Oklahoma State off the glass? It's a toss-up for me. It's very different styles here. It's opposite strengths. I do sort of lean towards Virginia Tech because I trust them a little bit more. I trust Mike Young more, but it's kind of a toss-up.
I do too, and that's why I didn't bet it. But I think the matchup does favor Oklahoma State. I think the price at the current number slightly favors the Pokes. So you just look at like their last 5 games. Like they lost to UConn by 10. I know that was a misleading final score, but they battled back against a team that's basically been untouchable to date. Sam Houston, a team that's been untouchable, they put them away. Prairie View, like the ultimate SWAC Nat 25. Tulsa, convincingly. I think they're actually trending in the right direction right now. Their shooting's been the main question mark with them. They haven't made shots, but they get to the glass, second, third chance. They'll supplement. I think they can muck this game enough, Jim, in the NBA arena. Maybe the Hokies' shots are not falling as cleanly as they would be back at the, what's their home court? I
don't know. It's in Blacksburg. It's called that.
Blacksburg, whatever. Yeah. So I like Oklahoma State here. I do. I think if he touches 3, I'll be jumping in.
Yeah, you make good points about the athleticism, whether they can handle pressure. Like Padula is a great point guard, but he's not overflowing with athleticism. And when teams have pressed them late in games, Virginia Tech's really struggled. Like UNC got all the way back into that game because they turned on the defensive pressure, and that was in Blacksburg. We'll see on a neutral floor if they're able to handle that. I do think the under might be a decent angle here. Should be really slow given how Virginia Tech wants to slow things down. And yeah, Matt, your point on efficiency, I would lean towards the under. What was the other? Oh, the best Oklahoma State game you might have left out. Losing by 10 at UConn is like a Hercules effort at this point.
No, that's saying the score. Misleading score out. It was to me. I think it was impressive. Like UConn just blitzed everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like that's actually a good effort. Is losing by 10 to that team. All right, let's move on. The headliner, Matthew. 2 teams that you are in love with: your Tennessee Volunteers and your Maryland Terrapins. Tennessee about 5.5 right now at BetRivers, point favorite. Are you backing your Vols? Are you backing your Terps? Or is this a kick your feet up and watch your 2 favorite teams play?
Well, at the current price, it's a kick feet up popcorn game. But like Kai said, I am sharp and I got 6. I wouldn't recommend it anything lower than 6. Tennessee kind of looks like they might be legit in that Colorado game was a complete outlier. They got Josiah and Jordan James back the last two games. He's been not 100%. But still effective, and he's such a good asset on the defense end. He's not making shots. I mean, the Jonas Adu the Euros Plavich resurgence has been kind of a monstrous development for Tennessee. He's got 25 points in his last 38 minutes, dominated 2 mid-majors, obviously, but I think he's kind of a weapon that Maryland, a team without like a true bona fide center, is going to have issues with. So if Tennessee wallops the Terps, Kai, I think it's because it's like an interior on the block bloodbath. That's what the Terps have to negate here.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a great game. I agree. I liked Maryland at a higher number, 5, probably staying away. Tennessee is a top 5 team. Will they have Vescovy? He could still be out. I know he's still kind of a game time decision.
He's supposed to play, but yeah, we don't know for sure.
Yeah, he's important. But the last 3 games, Tennessee, they've won by 36, 54, and 35. It doesn't really matter who they played. That's incredible. But Maryland's been great. That one road loss at Wisconsin, that's pretty passable. I think they can give Tennessee a test here. Being very old and being very experienced is a good thing in college basketball. and that's Maryland. They don't get rattled very easily. I think Jameer Young can handle the backcourt defense of Tennessee. I think the Terps defense is solid enough to keep the balls off the glass, keep them from scoring. So I actually lean towards the Terps here as a 2-possession dog. Jim.
Yeah, and Kevin Willard's a really good underdog coach. I should have the exact numbers. Sorry, Sunday show don't have the pulled up, but he's like an Ed Cooley or a Shaka Smart, where he's really good as an underdog. He gets his teams up, and they're not like in a different world talent wise here. And if Vescovi's banged up and Maryland knocks down shots, like Kai said, that effort at Wisconsin was actually pretty solid. I thought that was a terrible spot for Maryland, and they didn't make shots, and they still hung around. So, I've been impressed with the Terps so far this year. I think they keep this one close as well. I'm not betting it, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good one. The headliner that we deserve on this fine Sunday.
Oh, I
think the Terps. Okay.
The Maryland fan travel there from the comment Will Jones in the chat. I would imagine most people are Maryland fans tonight.
I know. I just think these games are always empty, barren. No one goes to these, which stinks. But yeah, I guess I'll give a slight.
I guess I don't really know. I have not been.
Here's a big concern, or minor concern maybe. Maryland's played so many big games. Like their non-conference schedule is such a gauntlet. And Kevin Willard kind of talked about how like he sort of regrets, like he thinks he's going to overextend his team before the Big Ten, which is already a murderer's row as it is. So I think Tennessee or UCLA, they will crack. Hopefully it's next game, not today.
This has no bearing on today. I just wanted to bring it up. Last time Tennessee was in New York playing basketball, they had the ugliest overtime game with Texas Tech. 109 points in overtime total. Like that game was disgusting.
Oh yeah.
Just wanted to bring up that classic that we all enjoyed last year, right around this time. All right, the last one in Brooklyn, the nightcap, UMass and Hofstra. Kai, this is me with this game because I don't know what's going on with. I don't think Fernandez plays. I kind of doubt Estrada plays too.
Yeah.
So both teams missing their best creator, best ball handler, kind of base their offenses around what those guys do. It's too much of an uncertainty. I didn't want to get involved with this one.
And one guy's way more important to his team, and that's Estrada. You have to know his status if you're going to back Hofstra. He's the reigning Colonial Player of the Year. He's vital for them. If he's out, it's a UMass bet. Fernandez is out, but they're a very deep team. Now, Diggins did get hurt at the end of the last game, too. So UMass might be down 2 of their primary ball handlers. I still don't really think it matters a whole lot. Hofstra, Matt, anecdotally in my head, last couple of years have struggled with physical teams. And you don't get more physical than UMass. They're going to crush them in all the hustle areas. If Estrada's in, I think Hofstra can score enough to maybe keep this one because UMass's offense really isn't going to exploit them. But if he's out, it's a pretty strong UMass lean for me in this game.
Yeah, I would say kind of a tough spot here for UMass, though. I know it's off the loss to UMass Lowell, but they played last Friday, Monday, Thursday, now playing Sunday. Do we have any good sense of what the Martin?
They're so deep. They play like
right. They are. That's true. They are deep. But like the whole Martin calling out his team for not buying in, like as we kind of put that to bed.
I'd
expect a good effort after they got the wake up call loss.
Yeah. Okay.
He probably has been after them.
He probably wanted that loss, right? He was probably like he needed them to take a loss for him to like. Okay, yeah, I think that's an important psychological factor with this UMass team because they're so volatile, they're so up and down.
Yeah, well, he basically said that he's like, I can't teach them this lesson when we keep winning, and then they lost, and he's probably like, haha, I get to yell at these guys. Like,
they're volatile in game. They're not volatile game to game. Like they're just in game. It's like it's just a roller coaster ride every time.
Yep, agreed. So yeah, I think Kai's making the right point here. If Estrada is out, have to lean UMass, despite the monster game that Amari Marshall had last game for Hofstra against Purdue. He went absolutely nuts. I don't anticipate that happening again, but we'll see. I think Purdue is playing with its food in that one. Yeah, they were having a good time. All right, Maddie, let's go to Chat Mob. First section here. I know there's questions coming in. What do you got for us?
We will start with a twofer from Maddie Aker. Shim, I'm going to you. First, Eastern Michigan, Niagara, and then his second question is Merrimack, Maine. I like the Eagles, but I don't want to like the Eagles.
I'm not betting. I think Jordan Majeski said he's like, I'm not touching that team until conference tournament. I agree. I think you've said the same thing here, Matt. Eastern Michigan. Yeah. Are you talking purple Eagles or?
Oh yeah, talking the green Eagles. I forgot about the Eagles. Yes, I'm talking the Eagles that are green. Eastern Michigan, which is a team that does not like competing, but they're talented.
Yeah, I'm not betting Eastern Michigan, despite the number kind of leans that way. But I do like the under. It's been bet down. I think Niagara drags them into just a gross slog. And Imani Bates gets driven nuts. Oh, and then Merrimack, Maine. Number told me to bet Merrimack. I didn't because one team's been really good this year, Maine, and one team's been awful, Merrimack. So sat it out.
Yep.
Hi, Ryan asking about East Tennessee State, Morehead State. There's been some money coming in on the Buccaneers, a short road dog, now basically down to Pick'em, -1 Morehead. Some injury concerns for East Tennessee State. I don't really have an opinion on this game.
I was going to be on ETSU, but Tipler and Jansek have been out of the lineup forever. I don't want to touch them right now. I can't figure it out. They're playing 6 guys. It's not something I want to back right now. So I stayed away.
Yeah. It's kind of the same issues we saw with this team last year. Not deep enough and not physical enough.
Last year they had like 5 scholarship guys at the end of the year. They're like already at that point. It's ridiculous.
They've lost the Forbes physicality aura brand. But we'll see what happens. Benny asking about UMass. We talked about that a little bit. Ryan A, Lipscomb, Tennessee State, little Nashville showdown. Jimbo, any thoughts there? Lipscomb's been awesome, by the way.
Yeah, there's like not much home, if any. There's no travel, and I don't think Tennessee State's going to have some home run crowd. I kind of like Lipscomb here. Kai, it's been weird. Asajala has been like not a zero, but he's not their best player right now.
It's like a really player off the bench. Yeah.
But I still like Lippy today.
Asajala.
Kai, another. Yeah, his like numbers have not been dominant. They have some other big guys who's been really good too. I don't know. They must have found some.
Ognacevic is awesome.
Yeah, right. He's been really good. Kai, NJIT, FDU, another game. There's no home, both Jersey-based schools. I have no take on this game. I know you were a Knights backer last game.
I'm surprised up to 4.5. People must know if Blagan, Hiru Blagan is in for Fairleigh Dickinson. They've been the much better team, but I don't know if I can back them without him. Like they barely got by Columbia, and that was a little shocking to me. They should have owned them.
I'd also say I think Grant Singleton's going to be out. He did a bad ankle late in overtime against Columbia. I think Fairleigh Dickinson's going to be shorthanded today.
And Joe Munden got hurt at the end of the game too. They could be really shorthanded.
Munden came back in though, so
yeah, he did play.
Yeah.
Stay away. All that for stay away. I love it. Spencer K with a pretty good spot read here. I just missed this on the schedule. Hawaii's hosting St. Francis. Fun little travel there from Loretto, Pennsylvania out to the island. Kai, any take on this one? -16.
I can't believe Matt's not backing Hawaii.
Yeah, why am I not? I might add it now on this side. It's a big number. Hawaii's been they don't have like the offensive firepower
to win by 20. Yeah, I don't know.
St. Francis is
why
terrible. They're
why
beat
is
up.
St. Francis going to Hawaii? Why are they doing this?
They also played on Thursday, by the way. They're non-D1 on Thursday, and so it's I would say a semi-quick turnaround.
What's their budget?
Whatever.
What's the budget of this school? This is nuts.
Fun little experience. Good look for just a
little awesome
Christmas
for the
in
players.
paradise.
Pumped. Yeah. They don't care about this game.
That's. I think there's huge quit factor for St. Francis given their personnel issues and travel.
Yeah.
Scott H asking about New Mexico State today. We've talked about the turmoil surrounding that program. They did cover last game against Santa Clara. They're now catching 4.5 on the road at Duquesne. Jimbo, take.
I really like Duquesne. I know they were my best bet recently and lost against Marshall. I think this is a pretty good spot for my Dukes. I considered them for best bet, Matthew, but I didn't want to do 2 shows in a row and have 2 Duquesne losers in a row. But New Mexico State's kind of a mess off the court. They've got some suspensions that guys might not play. So I like the Dukes, and also bad travel for New Mexico State.
Yeah, bad travel. I like, last game that's been asked about a ton, Oregon State, Texas A&M. That'll be in the best bet section. But back to stanza 2 of the outline.
Kai, we got him to tease a best bet instead of give it away. How about
I was just going to do it. Yeah.
Same. I thought so too.
Good for you, Matt.
All right. We're leaving Brooklyn. We're going to some campus sites here, starting in South Bend. Marquette at Notre Dame. Kai, I was surprised to see Marquette as the road favorite here. I know Notre Dame's been really bad as a big favorite. They're kind of useless when they're laying 15 points, but they beat Sparty at home, granted a banged up Sparty. I think they're going to be better in these kind of toss-up kind of games. And I don't love Shaka Smart as a road favorite. I want that guy as a home dog. So I lean the Irish. What do you think?
Marquette is only 1-3 in its marquee matchups. They've covered 2 of them, but doesn't really matter for the tournament, right? They kind of still need quality wins, and Notre Dame still needs to keep padding wins. It's a huge game, basically, what I'm saying both ways here. Notre Dame's about as secure with the ball as any team in the country, but Marquette can disrupt about any team in the country. They're very long in the perimeter. They're very athletic. Their press is very hard to break. We'll see if it bothers Notre Dame. We'll see who can control the pace here. Notre Dame, Matt plays 7 guys, and that's it. They try to control the tempo, bring the pace down a little bit. Marquette wants to ramp it up. They're much more physical than Notre Dame. If the Irish go zone, though, can the Eagles hit enough shots? Can they create second chances? I think it's a pretty tough call here. I stayed away personally. Matt, you probably have a stronger opinion on this game than I do.
I do. I like the Irish.
Attaboy.
I think looking at their results this year, there's you can look at all of the mid majors. Yeah, they really haven't dominated teams they should dominate. I just think the way that they're built is they're never going to be a good favorite, but we've seen them rise up in class against Michigan State. Now, favorable spot, injuries to Michigan State, maybe kind of sort of put an asterisk on that result. Fair. I just think this is their game today. I really do. I think their style takes Marquette out of transition mostly. I think Mike Bray controls tempo. I think they make shots. I think Marcus Hammondback's a huge boost to that roster that needs 7, 8 able players as opposed to 5, 6. So, yeah, I took the Irish today as a short dog.
Notre Dame is 1-7 ATS as a favorite. 1-0 as a dog this year.
Hey, love that.
Boom. 2-0 is coming up.
Yeah, serve up that 2-0, baby.
Yeah.
All right, next we got Seton Hall at Rutgers. Fellas, I'm just going to come out and say it. My best bet is first half Rutgers -4.5. I think they come out just absolutely furious after the loss that was stolen from them by the refs with Tanner Holden being out of bounds at Ohio State. I think they're going to be angry. Home team has typically dominated this game, this rivalry game between Rutgers and Seton Hall, big New Jersey battle. At the rack, Matthew, full strength Rutgers. I've been really impressed with them, especially when they have Mulcahy and McConnell. I think they take it to a Seton Hall team that's really banged up right now. I know they had some guys sit their non-D1 game. I'm sure they'll be back, but they're clearly not fully healthy. And I think Rutgers is going to be dialed in for this one.
Yeah, yes. I agree. Rutgers is my lean. Yes. That's all.
Sorry, you're kicking to Matt first. My bad.
I wanted it. I wanted the rock.
I was going to Matt.
Go ahead, Matt.
I'll give it a hot potato too. I just think it's their spot after the loss to Ohio State, back home, in-state rival. All the dynamics are there for we're locked in for this one. And yeah, Seton Hall, just too many injuries right now. I think they're kind of limping into conference play. As Shaheen Holloway kind of hinted at all offseason, it's man, we've had guys injured all fall, and it's sort of persisted into this year. And yeah, I think it's a brittle Seton Hall team right now. So yeah, I'd lean Rutgers.
Yeah, spread's high, but there's no way I'm fading Rutgers. I'm not fading Rutgers in a rivalry game. I'm not fading Rutgers against a team I don't trust at all in Seton Hall. I think Rutgers is for real. Their defense is insane, and Seton Hall has not looked good. They should be 4-5 with no quality wins. They should have lost to Memphis.
Yep.
They cannot win the paint or the glass battle with Rutgers, and that's how they have to win games. So it's a really tough matchup for them here. I lean towards Rutgers as well. I do endorse Jim's first half bet. Good job, Jim.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, this Seton Hall team that has looked lost offensively, playing rack Rutgers in their vicious defense. I think they shove Seton Hall in the locker in this one. And let's go Rutgers. Fire up first half, boys. All right, Matthew. No, you know what? I'm going to Kai first on this one. My Badgers are on the road. Wisconsin at Iowa. Sneaky fun fact: the Badgers are 5-1-1 against the spread in Iowa City last 7 outings. Greg Gard's been pretty competitive there. No Chris Murray confirmed still for this one. Sort of a low number because of that. Basically saying these teams are equal without Chris Murray. Kai, we just saw Iowa get a home run effort against Iowa State. Are they able to do the same thing here against Wisconsin?
Yeah, Iowa's 5-0 against the spread at home this year, +8 cover margin. So basically, if you're fading Iowa at home, you better have a darn good reason. And Chris Murray's a pretty good reason. They didn't need him against Iowa State. Maybe that's a little bit different in such a heated rivalry game. +4. And I kind of lean towards Wisconsin. They're just really, really steady. They're really solid. Their last 2 games have been excellent. I mean, they controlled Marquette. That game should not have gone to overtime. They just kind of got lazy at the end there. It is the first Big Ten game for Iowa, Matt. We'll see how they open up here. I think Wisconsin can slow Iowa down. They've been a little bit more of a pace taker this year than a pacemaker. But I cannot fade Iowa home court. I won't do it, even with Murray out of the lineup.
Yeah, I just realized that Wisconsin lost at home to Wake Forest. How did Wake beat Wisconsin on the road and then lose to LSU? Anyway, frustrating. I like Iowa at the number. I like Iowa at the current number. It's come down to 4. I know the shooting splits against an Iowa State game were stark. 3 of 22 for Iowa State, 12 for 23 from 3 for Iowa. But Iowa's a good shooting team even without Chris Murray. So they can make shots. Jim, I think, alluded to the fact that Wisconsin played so well on the road here. That's why I didn't take it. I think the historical matchups in the Big Ten to me merit or have some merit, as opposed to I think some other trends don't always hold their weight in gold. I do think that one matters. So
Matt, we talked about going with your gut on teams you follow. I don't have a strong read on Wisconsin in this one, so that's why I'm sitting out. I could see Iowa continuing that offensive barrage, but it was also like you said, home run effort against arch rival. There could be some letdown factor here against Wisconsin, even though it is a Big Ten game. Man, Kai, are we killing Big Ten home court after some of the efforts we've seen recently, especially Illinois yesterday?
But then Nebraska almost beat Purdue, so it's like,
true.
It's case by case, Jim. I suppose it's case by case.
Yeah, it's not like the home run 70% bet the home team that it has been in a couple past years, but you still got to respect it and treat each game individually.
Yeah.
All right, last one on the outline is a Big Ten home court. Matt, we've got Minnesota hosting Mississippi State, kind of a strange non-conference game here.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jans and his Bulldogs have been phenomenal, and this Minnesota team is mega garbage. Why should I not take Mississippi State on the road here?
I think you should. I really do.
Agree.
It feels like the Michigan thing where it's like, God, this line's so short. I guess I'm just not playing it because my number says not to, and because Big Ten home court is supposedly strong. The Barn's a tough place to play, but it's an easy place to play when your opponent's not very good. And that's just what Minnesota is right now. And not only they're not good, they're young. So I think there's sort of a acceptance of we're going to kind of take the lumps this year with the Gophers in hopes of like grooming our youngsters for the future. And I think that lends itself to less competitive efforts when you would think you might get a feisty Minnesota game today. Like, I just don't think that's the case. I think Mississippi State's probably a bad favorite to back DNA-wise, Kai, but I think I'd still lay it.
It's one of those games where maybe it's not best to overthink it. Miss State's been great. Minnesota's been terrible. The Barn is not a tough place to play right now. I mean, I don't think they've had a single good effort yet this year, even at home. I thought Jamison Battle back in the lineup would give him a little bit of life. It really hasn't. This is going to be a bloodbath on the glass. Bloodbath. You got the number one offensive rebounding team in the country by rate in Mississippi State against the 336th best defensive rebounding team in the country by rate. One team's physical, talented, and extremely well coached. The other one's Minnesota. I lean towards Miss State here. -7. Yeah, it's a little high, Matt. I agree with you on the Mississippi State, not as good of a favorite type of thing, but I'd lean their way.
Yeah, I think they crock-pot them. Even if it's not like a get all over them early, I think they eventually win this game by double digits. So I'm tempted to hop in. I made this higher because I don't respect Minnesota at all. I backed Minnesota a couple games in a row. Again, had the miracle Virginia Tech cover, miracle push against Purdue, and I was like, you know what? These are the wrong sides. I need to knock Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm more trending betting against them. This is my second straight time fading them as a home dog, and the first one went well, so I'll keep it going. Mississippi State for me there. All right, fellas, let's get back to Chat Mob before we reveal the rest of our best bets. Maddie, what do you got?
I only have 3 questions. The mobsters are just, there's no, they have the winners themselves. They no longer
they don't need it from us.
And that's fine.
Not many games
I think that's fair. It's the evolution of our teachings. But we will start with Maddie Akers. Another question about a Northeast showdown. Kai Bryant versus Manhattan. The Bulldogs have been a tough nut to crack, obviously very talented. Manhattan has been better than we thought. Plain simple.
9 points is a ton. However, you got to know if Manhattan's guys are back. Josh Roberts missed last game. Another guy missed, Brennan.
Yep.
Yeah. Josh Roberts is really important.
Roberts really important. Yeah.
Earl Timberlake is back for Bryant. That's probably part of the reason you saw the line creep up a little bit. There's no way Kayvon Kramer's back, but Bryant's still a lot more talented. Hey, 9 points at Manhattan. Sheesh. I'm leaning towards the Jaspers.
Yeah, like you said, they missed, and it's also been like they were a flu team. So, like, yes. Are they better, or are they still flu-ridden where they're going to get blown out like most of these flu teams do? So,
or they Montana,
but
yeah,
exactly.
Montana looks like a different team. Great game here. Almost made outline, by the way, as a little bit of a sleeper. Jack Stone, Jim asked for Indiana State versus Southern Indiana. He might be going to the game. Has a hand up.
I think there's a lot of points in this one. I think it's up and down. Track meet. Both teams are willing to run. Don't have a strong side take because, Kai, we've seen these new D1 teams are just hyper feisty, and I don't want to fade.
I'm done fading
Southern Indiana. Yeah, so
you got bet up. And if you're going to fade them, now's the time to do it. Open 5. Now it's at 7. I mean, I don't want to fade Indiana State either, but I think
this team is awesome.
It felt pretty high though, for just given how good or how continuously competitive Southern Indiana's been. But no action for me there.
Not a ton of travel.
All right, and on the polar opposite end of the aesthetically pleasing spectrum, Andrew asking about Tarleton versus UCF. Kai should be a gross game. UCF will be dragged down into the muck of doom that Charlton did. But there's some injuries concerns for the Texans.
Are there? Oh,
I think there are a couple. Jim, remind me, please.
You can cover the injuries, but this is the type. I'm usually a Tarleton guy. This is the type of the game I don't think Tarleton wins or keeps close. Like UCF's kind of a different beast. They have a huge size advantage. They're going to get to the line 100 times in this game. I'm staying away in this one.
Yeah, Tarleton is missing Ja'Cory Smith and Gatquath last game. Ja'Cory is like their second best player. So if he's out, I have a hard time seeing them hang around a UCF team that can completely shut down their offense.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. Any last at the horn?
There's a few in here.
Siena, Delaware. Let's hit that one from Ryan N. I don't have a hard take in this one. My Saints have been awesome, and I think I just missed the boat early and haven't been able to back them like I did last year. So I'm bummed out about that.
Yeah, I don't have a strong one on that one. I wanted to back Navy against Towson. I saw someone ask that.
Yeah, Towson Navy, great game.
Towson was like, even with Clemson the entire game, needed a 3 at the buzzer to backdoor that game. But Jason Gibson has still been out. Radier Hicks has still been out. Navy is a really, really feisty underdog. And keep an eye on their freshman point guard, Austin Benini. He had 20 last game against that vaunted West Virginia defense.
Wow.
I know Navy didn't cover, but like it's pretty rare for them to play a freshman this big in minutes. Maybe that's not a reason to bet them today. That's just a hoop tip. Watch Navy. Good hoops on that squad.
Hi, how about Youngstown versus Ohio? The boys of Youngstown versus the boys of Jeff Bowles.
I kind of refuse to believe that Ohio is this bad, the way the market's been pricing them. And Youngstown's getting a lot of credit here. I think historically, Ohio owns this matchup. I don't know if they play a whole lot, but from what I gather, this is basically like Ohio usually dominates, and both sides know it. This year, you could argue Youngstown's better than Ohio. I'm not sure I'd go that far quite yet, but Ohio has definitely looked worse this season. I lean towards them at the short dog. I got a better price early on.
I don't even okay.
They haven't played in a while. I kind of thought
they had not played in a while. That's not. They have not played since November 30th or something like that.
Oh no, I'm saying the head-to-head they haven't played.
Oh yeah, I tried to look up history. Okay. I can't find it, but
maybe not.
I might be searching something incorrect.
I'm still with Kai. I like the Bobcats. I'm with you.
The vibe I got was like Youngstown's.
I hate when fan forms lead you astray.
They're better than they're older or whatever. They're the MAC team, whatever.
Here's my advice: just stop Dwayne Cohill. If you do that, you can beat Youngstown. But that's been
Youngstown's really talented.
They're super talented. Yeah. Cohill is like a legit star. Like Dayton, Cohill will be like Dayton's second best player right now, and he was on Dayton at one point.
Yep.
How about one more at the horn? Presbyterian, South Carolina.
I was hoping you'd bring this up. I think we just keep fading the bad power teams. The South Carolina is the Oregon State, or not Oregon State.
Presbyterian. Okay.
Presbyterians had 2 feisty efforts. Winston Hill's like getting better.
Yeah,
like they're healthier. I think they're a little undervalued because of how bad they were without Hill. I kind of like Presbyterian. I think they might win outright. How about that?
Oh, hey, real quick shouts to our guy Ebe with the Iowa State McNeese question. I think under is my obvious answer there. Kai, anything to add before we go to best bets? No.
Nothing to add. Can McNeese have 2 amazing efforts in a row? They just beat Northern Iowa. That was a ridiculous result. I don't know. Iowa State can win by 40 and like barely score. So I'm staying away.
I like Matt's
50-10 in the final.
Yeah.
All right. To best bets we go, and I will keep the mic. Everyone's been asking about Oregon State, Texas A&M. This is where my best bet lies. I don't think the number's too high. I think it's actually a fairly well-priced line at -14. The Aggies hosting the Beavers, but I just think this matchup-wise is such a strong edge to Oregon State. Like in a battle of junk defenses, switching defenses, I think this is like a true coaching chess match, and I don't trust A&M at all as a favorite. They don't take care of the ball that well. Their shot selection leaves a lot to be desired. Oregon State, while obviously relying on young ball handlers against A&M's pressure, doesn't give me a lot of confidence, but I think this game gets ugly enough for Oregon State to slip inside the 14. So go Beavs. Shout to the Paytoniers. Jim.
Reiterating, my best bet was Rutgers first half -4.5. I think they smashed Seton Hall early. One team is angry, and it's a big rivalry. Home court matters a lot in these. Ask Iowa State. I'm big on the first half here. Rutgers, Kai.
I'm going a game we haven't talked about yet. Prairie View +17 is coming to Chicago to visit the Big Ten Wildcats. The line's sky high, in my opinion. Prairie View has not played since November 30th. Long layoff, maybe a little bit of a risk of rustiness, but they also could have gotten healthy. They had a guy out or two, I think, last game. Yep. The pace is going to be slow. Neither team's really looking to run. It's a low possession game. That favors a really big underdog, 17 points here. Also, Prairie View's pretty scrappy. Hopefully they can bother Northwestern in what has to be a sleepy home spot. Nobody's going to this game today at Northwestern. There's no chance. Crowd's not going to be huge. And also, Prairie View A&M's not the little sisters of the poor, of the blind, whatever you want to call it. They beat Wazoo this year. They've proven they can hang with power competition. So Prairie View plus 17 is the best bet. Submission. Boom.
Big look ahead spot for Northwestern. They got DePaul next weekend in the big inner city
right.
Chicago battle. So
the king of Chicago. Who is it? Who is it?
How did DePaul beat UTEP by 30? I don't. That's the to date. I have a list
UTEP's
of like
not
most
very
you might be right.
I know.
That's
I don't want to admit it. There might be too much Mario McKinney on UTEP.
I know. I was like, Mario McKinney, the Mizzou defect. Okay, come on, Joe. We need something better than that.
Yep. All right, that wraps it up. That's our best bets. That is our show for today. Lots of good ball. Tune in to Tennessee, Maryland. That's going to be an awesome game.
Can't
so
wait.
Check that one out. Of course, there's NFL football, so good luck with that. Good luck with your fantasy football lineups. We're not doing any start and sit because I'm clueless. I'm bad at fantasy football. But we will be back on Tuesday. We're off tomorrow, pretty light slate. But we'll be back Tuesday for a really strong slate. We'll see you then. Thanks for